Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan here with you. You know, Adam, it struck me today that this is kind of a fun time of the year for us because if you think about, and for Eagles fans, just for everybody involved, because if you think about how difficult, May, June, and most of July were for content and ideas and things like that. And now we've got training camp and it's phase 3. So it's information heavy. There's job jockeying going on. There's evaluations, and just feels good to talk about X's and O's and football again. And we obviously have good stuff for our listeners with these notebook style podcasts.
You know, it's funny. When I was at ESPN, we would always say the August shows would write themselves. June, there was a running joke that we wouldn't make up stuff, but they were like we'd have to come up with new formatting because there's just in June, even when we had OTAs, Geoff, not a lot would happen. Now these stories write themselves. These shows write themselves. It's phenomenal. And today's Thursday morning, Geoff. We've had 2 days in pads. We had a light day on Wednesday. Today they're back in pads, and thank God for football, man. And then obviously we've got the other sports: the Sixers, the Flyers.
Right.
The Eagles. I mean, they're all. It's actually really odd. Because of the COVID situation, the NBA playoffs are in August, which you've never had that I could remember in my lifetime. So it's kind of like we're being paid back in a positive way, Geoff, for all of our patience with what's been going on.
We are, and thankfully everybody so far has been healthy since the 3 guys came off the COVID list and Doug Peterson came back. Everyone's been healthy, at least from not having COVID to deal with. Now, the other injuries we'll get to, but let's first let me remind everybody. We had a great Inside the Birds TV interview on our YouTube channel, and we've posted it on our podcast platform with Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach, a former Eagle scout, now a Super Bowl champion. So that's on whatever podcast platform that you listen to. If you didn't see it on our YouTube channel, you can hear it on your podcast wherever you listen to those. And I thought Brett did a great job, Adam, of just kind of like not only talking about building the Chiefs into a champion and finding Pat Mahomes, but talking about some of the difficult challenges, right, that every GM has to face this year. And I think we're going to get into that in this podcast, just in how coaches are evaluating veterans from rookies and how GMs kind of figure out how to patch holes when you've got coronavirus hanging over everything and kind of casting a question mark on what's going to happen.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really learned about is, and he was really, because he's a GM, he outlined the challenges of this fall, particularly when it comes to college scouting. And because I know it's out there, but he certainly doesn't agree with it, and I totally agree with Veach on this because other GMs told me this, and personnel people as well. The pro days, the combine, anything in February, March, and April, it takes on a greater meaning because most conferences that are not all of college football will not happen this season. Right. So they're going to have another way to have to measure because you're not having 2020 tape, Geoff. So you have to go back to 2019. And as Brett tells us in his own words, and he did such a great job of explaining it, you're going to have to find another way to scout, and it's going to be next year. And he explains that. And don't forget also, before we move on here and get to our notebook on the Eagles, the Bill Polian pod was phenomenal. That was another education. It's part of doing this with you, Geoff, is we're learning so much from people we speak with on and off the record, and just that those two are on the record, and it was yet another education. We're so grateful for both those guys doing these shows.
Definitely, and also catch the Brett Veach interview for the intel on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their rookie running back, who I think is going to have, even for a rookie, a pretty big year for the Kansas City Chiefs. Monday, when we drop our next podcast, Monday morning, we're going to have a big announcement to accompany it. So I'm looking forward to, we're going to share some big ITB news, and we're ready. We're ready for the upcoming season. So I'm ready to announce. Make sure you're just following us on all our platforms. At Inside Birds on Twitter, at Caplan NFL, at Geoff Mosher NFL, and then of course our Facebook community group, Inside the Birds, on Facebook and on YouTube.
So by the way, just one thing. Go to our Facebook page. I like to give hints. I gave a hint an hour before the draft of where I think the Eagles draft is going to go. So we're going to give a couple little hints on. I think we got 2 things coming out Monday. Some interesting things, something like that. Anyway, we might put a little. Geoff or I might put a little something on the message board because those guys are so dedicated. We appreciate obviously we appreciate everybody, but That Facebook board, my friend, is hot. I mean, it is. The discussions are very, very inside, as they say.
Yeah, you just gave me a great idea. I think we can use that as a little platform to drop a few hints. So I like that.
There you go.
All right, before we, Adam, get into some of the things we're hearing, I think we should go through just what it means to be in phase 3.
Yes.
All right, because there's been 3 phases here. And here's the thing that's good for fans is that there ain't no phase 4. That's called season. So you don't have to worry about like what this means for this week compared to next week. From now until September 6th, which is the when they start practicing for the regular season, these are the rules in place. Do you want to go through them or do you want me to go through them?
Yeah, so I'll go through them. So phase 3, which started on Monday, it's called the contact integration period, August 17th through September 6th. But what I would tell you is only training camp only has 2 more weeks. It ends on the 31st, I think. Actually, for the Eagles, they're going to end it on the Friday the 28th. But in terms of pads, you could be in pads for up to 14 days through September 6th, which I believe is a Sunday. And then Monday, obviously, is week 1, September 7th. But in the contact integration period, duration starts 90 minutes with 15-minute daily increases. There's some time limits, obviously. It can't go 5 hours, but there's in the CBA, there's some time limits. But no increase or decrease in duration after a day off. So I think the Eagles' day off next week is Friday. I think it's Sunday this week, something like that. Anyway.
I think Sunday, yeah. So
there's a day off. As I said, 14 padded practices. Teams this past Monday could be in pads. By the way, not every team was – I found out from talking to some personnel people, some teams were not in pads Monday. I don't know why, but maybe they're saving it for another day, something like that. Now, they can hit this week. Let's get in – before we get into our notes, we're going to get injuries. We know what you people want. We'll get to it. We know what you want. We're going to give it to you. But the thud period, we talked about it briefly the last time. Geoff, every team I've talked to says they're in pads. They'll go, yeah, we were hitting today. I'll go, really? You were tackling the ground? Oh, no, we weren't doing that. They were in the thud period, Geoff. So
right.
Go, you're up. Explain what the thud period is.
Yeah, I like to call it 3/4 hitting. It's not full tackling to the ground. It's not full mano-on-mano blocking and pancaking, but there's contact. You know, it's almost like physical two-hand touch, if I could describe it that way. I mean, you do have your 11-on-11, so you have your offensive line and your defensive line there in the trenches, and the ball is snapped, and action is happening. But a lot of these things turn into passing camps, and so you don't have to worry as much about. But you're not going to see a safety come and jar a wide receiver across the middle in thud period. It just doesn't happen that way, and you're not going to see a left tackle pancake a defensive end. You play it till the play has manifested, and then you're done on to the next play. So that's how I like to get. It's like 75% football is like how I like to describe it. But obviously, Adam, they'll have these 2 scrimmages coming up where they are in pads and they are tackling that Doug Peterson said he would do in camp. And not everybody is going to be on the field for these. So we'll talk about that with the injuries first. I want to remind everybody to go to statesidevodka.com for 10% off the best vodka out there using the promo code BIRDS on your pickup or delivery. That's right. They deliver to the counties of Philadelphia, Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, Bucks, Westmoreland, or Allegheny. So make sure you get it. By the way. Yes, sir.
By the way, speaking of the delivery, so we've already got messages. We really appreciate this because it's a good way to measure. We know some people who have ordered locally, and they love getting the home delivery. They were kind of stunned that they're getting deliveries at home for vodka, but yes, you could get vodka delivered at home. I didn't know that either. So,
Mommy, the vodka's here.
It's funny. I saw a couple comments on the YouTube the YouTube commenter sometimes a little bit off, a little different, but it was kind of cool. I checked them out every couple of days, and I was looking. I'm like, wow. A couple people said, hey, by the way, stateside vodka. Yes, we got it delivered home. Love it. I'm like, great. Thank you for telling us. Now we'll pass that a message around. So you're supporting a local business. And at this time, Geoff, with all that's going on, please do that because anyone who's got a local business, it's very difficult for all of us. Mm-hmm. And I love that they're getting support, so we appreciate it. And I'm sure they do as well.
That's right. Remember, Tito's That's from Dallas. Boo Dallas, right? Stateside from Philly. Yay, Philly. So to move on, Eagles injuries. I know everybody wants to hear about them. What do we know? What's going to happen? Before we get into individuals, I just want to say this to everybody. Don't panic. Take a deep breath.
Oh,
It's going to be okay.
Oh my God.
You know, that's kind of the collective, you know, as we did our homework, Adam, and certainly was told to me, is that these things may sound bad because they're called week to week and upper body and lower body, but as far as I'm told, there's nothing out here that's so bad that you really, really got to worry about anybody. But let's start with Miles Sanders, because obviously he's a big player on this offense and someone who's looked really good in camp up until he got hurt.
The best way to summarize this will put it in the proper context. If you play fantasy football and you're drafting Miles Sanders in the first round, or you wanted to, keep doing it. There's absolutely nothing to be worried about. It's a minor injury. We're going to leave it at that. It's minor. Mm-hmm. And I would agree with the speculation that the Eagles are just being conservative with Miles. So let me give an example of what happened last year. Miles Sanders did not participate in their offseason program on the field. He just took mental reps because he had a hamstring strain on one leg. And then I don't know how it happened. Maybe a week later, I don't know if he's running, working out, he strained the other hamstring. They shut him down for the entire offseason program on the field. Now, my sense is for the mandatory camp last year, he probably could have practiced. But why, when he's had these issues, you know, he had hamstrings last year. Mm-hmm. Why would you? What's the point of even taking the risk? Let him just get him right for training camp. I was at training camp last year, the first day before I went on my tour, and I was like, "Holy bleep! Wow!" He was like shot out of a cannon. You're like, okay, this is who they thought they were drafting in terms of explosiveness, and you know he wound up winning the job, so it was the right decision. I could just say with this injury, they're doing the right thing. There's no reason to push him back early. It's a minor enough injury, as I understand it. I'm sure he could have practiced within the next 3 weeks or two, whatever is going on. He probably could have done something over the next 3 weeks. But he's week to week. That's what they're calling it. Just my sense. It's just me gathering intel and translating it. They're being smart about it. Mm-hmm. This is what Andy Reid told me years ago. I caught him 2010, 2011. We were talking about, you know, I asked him, I said, Coach, why don't you play these guys in the preseason? He goes, my job is to get my guys to the first game. And he did not need to say another thing. I got it, and I totally got what he meant, and I started to understand him better. Get it? Although he did the crazy thing. He played Donovan McNabb one snap in one preseason game one year. I'm like, what? Why would you even do that? Like, right. If you're gonna play and play,
snap. Yeah, I remember that.
It's so ridiculous. Which is kind of contradicting himself in a way. But he did say to me, he goes, "It's my," and it might have been over some guy who probably needed to get some reps. He's like, he made it very clear. Looked me in the eye. He goes, "It's my job to get these guys to first game, ... unscathed." So that's my sense with Sanders as we move on here. You got nothing to worry about. Now, it's funny. Geoff texted me. I was driving, so I wasn't looking at Twitter or watching. I wasn't seeing the 8,700 reports by the reporters there tweeting every play in practice, which is great. I love that they do that. But I didn't realize that they were giving an injury report. So the Eagles, as we said last week, teams are not required to do any injury report. They're actually, at least they're saying week to week, and they're saying it's lower body or upper body. So we know it's lower body, folks. I'll give you a hint based on what I think it is. It's either an ankle, a knee, a soft tissue injury. It's nothing bad. It's
just one of those three, Adam.
Yeah. Great hint. Or soft tissue.
So you're saying his leg has not been chopped off?
Yeah,
that's what we have a leg here. Yeah, okay, he has legs.
It's funny. So I see this. Geoff texts me, Miles Sanders week to week. I freaked out. I'm like, what? Not that I care what the Eagles do, but I've been pumping this guy up so much, I could just hear the fantasy community coming at me. They already blame me for his average draft position going from middle second round to like 8 is kind of where he's going. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh God, you got to be kidding me! What? I didn't know anything about it. So I'm like, what? Do you know? Is it out there? Do we know what it is? And there was really nothing out there. No one said what the injury was. Just a couple of reporters said, it's not, nothing to worry about. And and based on the information I got Wednesday afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, I'm like, okay, I'm going to I'm going to draft Sanders in the first round. I got nothing to worry about. So, okay, good. That's it.
Right. Well, the silver lining, I would say, to the injury list right now, and you go through the names: Miles Sanders, Javon Hargrave, Derek Barnett, Dallas Goedert, Sidney Jones, Boston Scott. Adam, is that none of them are rookies, which is important. It gives the Eagles leniency in knowing that most of these guys who I just mentioned, all of them, they know the playbook, they know the scheme. As you mentioned, it's more important for them to be ready for the day one in real practice than it is to get out there. Now, I'm not trying to diminish practice, but I'm just talking about from a health standpoint. You want them 100% when it's time to play. The only one of those names that I mentioned that isn't an Eagle for at least a year is Javon Hargrave, but he's not a rookie. He's been in the league for 4 years already. So while he does have a little bit of a bridge to gap, again, if these were rookies, I think you and I would probably be more concerned about their ability to make any kind of impact. But the fact that they're veterans and have been with the team for a little while now makes it a little bit easier to swallow.
Yeah, just on Hargrave, I know it's a wide nine. It's the job of the defensive lineman a wide nine is just get upfield. You play the run on the way to the quarterback is the joke of the wide nine that coaches have had. But look, as you reported a week ago, really last Sunday was it? I can't remember.
What's today?
Last Monday.
Like
last
3
Monday.
days ago, to be honest with you.
Okay, today's Thursday. So yeah, so Monday morning. So you put it on our show that the Eagle Hargrave gave the Eagles a scare. And yes. And then as you reported after the news came out that it was pectoral, you did say like he did it not in practice though, Geoff. Correct?
Right, it happened in the weight room. Right, and the big thing is that the Eagles felt like they dodged a bullet because originally they thought it might be a tear. Turns out it's just a strain. That's obviously a tear of a pec. I believe that's what Malik Jackson had last year. Correct? He was out No, what did he have?
Malik Jackson had I think he had Liz Frank, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't he?
No, maybe he did. Somebody tore their pec recently, right? You're right. It wasn't Malik Jackson. Somebody did, but that can be a very, very long-term injury. This is
torn pectorals, a full, not a half, a full.
Right.
Now you could strap it up. There's certain things you could do. You're just not going to be yourself. I've seen players come back in 6 weeks with it, a full tear, but they strap it up and they pull everything in, and there's certain you can't use your shoulder and your arm as well as you would as the other arm. But no, it's a 4+ month deal. If it's
Jordan Hicks, that's who had a pec strain, right?
Okay,
a pec tear, right? Yeah, that's who.
Okay, I don't remember.
A couple of years
but
ago.
Pectoral strain. See, the thing is, when you strain a muscle, you're stretching the fibers, so you got to make sure it heals correctly.
Correct.
And
absolutely,
you just got to. So you got to make sure that you don't overwork it when he rehabs it. But that was the one that's most concerning. Now, I want to say on Derek Barnett, I know it's a foot or an ankle. We did. I don't know if we put this out. He didn't practice last week. So this is a pretty significant ankle or foot injury. I don't know what it is. I know it's either ankle or foot. It's in that area. So whether it's a high ankle sprain or just it's a bad enough sprain, whatever you want to call it, that it's costing him a significant time. Now, you're right. He's not technically a vested veteran, but he needs snaps. And he's he's been hurt a lot in his career, and this is a big year. By the way, folks, the Eagles, did they roll over his 5th-year option? Sure, but they could cut him and owe him nothing if they cut him before the first, or cut him or trade him before the first day of free agency. They don't owe him anything. So he's got to play well this year, and he's got to stay on the field.
Yeah, no, this is a big, big year for him. It's weird. Whatever he's got going on, Jim Schwartz came out and said, I expect Derek Barnett to have a really big year. I don't think he would say that if he felt that Barnett was going to miss the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. So we'll just see how it goes with him. Obviously, we want to get into our notes and what we're hearing from both the offense and the defense. First, I got to remind everybody that, yes, the regular season is fun and all, but only one thing can compare to the excitement of basketball's playoffs, and that's having some skin in the game with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Basketball has made its way through the regular season. Now it's time to crown a champion, and DraftKings Sportsbook is putting you in the center of the action. To celebrate basketball's first round of the playoffs, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you an amazing free bet offer. For every day that you bet at least $20 on basketball, DraftKings Sportsbook will give you a $10 free bet. So head to the app right now and check out all they've got to offer, including player props, quarter-by-quarter betting, and so much more. Plus, don't forget about hockey's playoffs. DraftKings Sportsbook is offering great odds and promotions all week long to help you make it rain. DraftKings Sportsbook is a safe, secure, and reliable betting app. You can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code ITB when you sign up, and for a limited time, all users, not new users, all users can get a $10 free bet when placing a bet of $20 or more on all first-round playoff action. So that's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is going all out by offering a $10 free bet when placing a bet of $20 on all first-round playoff action. Again, promo code ITB only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Got to be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Other terms and conditions and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's get into some of the observations, things we've heard from our sources, Adam.
Let's do it.
Now that we're in phase 3, let's talk about the offense, man. We haven't talked quarterbacks.
I know it's kind of weird.
It's usually the first thing we talk about.
Yeah, it's funny. All right, let me address Jalen Hurts because he's doing well. I'm just laughing because what happens sometimes reporters or practice observers cherry pick. They'll find 2 plays, and the fans go crazy. And unless you're watching every single play, you have no idea how well the guy's doing. Correct. So I've learned the hard way when I've made stupid mistakes in doing practice reporting. I'll admit it. I made some stupid errors early in my career because I didn't know any better. It's just, hey, the guy had a great day. I took 3 plays. That must mean how well he played. No, that's not. Right. It's very little to do with it. You have to grade every single play. So if you're seeing a guy who was 15 for 18, tell me how he looked when he threw the football. Unless you could tell me how he threw the football, you don't know anything. You need to talk to people who do. So I've learned the hard way to be careful of being praiseworthy because it's going to wind up biting me in the ass, which it has over the years. So I just want to get that out of the way, just so people understand that just because someone put out there that a guy had a great practice doesn't mean he actually did. So This is why we're here. So Jalen Hurts has done very well. Now, what they're doing with him is they're moving him. He's not a stationary quarterback. They're moving him, having him throw on the run. He's been very accurate. The issues, Geoff, with his mechanics that I saw at the Senior Bowl definitely happened. But so far, he's been very compact. They've done a good job with him. So he's off to a good start. Now, Nate Sudfeld, Zach is his brother. Nate Sudfeld has been wildly inconsistent. It's the same stuff, Geoff, as last summer. You see the arm strength. His athleticism has really improved. But for some reason, he's not the aggressive thrower, Geoff, that he once was. And I don't have an answer. The one thing I will tell you, and I learned this from watching coaching tape with Ron Jaworski and Greg Cosell at NFL Films for years, there's a phrase that both of those guys came up with. It's getting a clear picture. He's clearly not getting a clear picture. Because if he was, he'd throw it. And he's just not doing it.
This being his 4th year with the team.
Can't believe it. Yeah.
And, last year, I remember you were saying the same things, and then he got hurt, so you can understand why they went out and got Josh McCown. This year, it's a delicate situation because really by year 4, when you're the backup guy or supposed to be, you've got to be ready to be the starter. I mean, especially, Carson Wentz has an injury history, and you can't almost be timid this late into practice or having the same problems. But the problem that I see for the Eagles is, we both have been told that Jalen Hurts has looked good. I think we both also understand, though, that Jalen Hurts being the backup quarterback to start the year is probably not what the team wants.
No. You know why? Because, first of all, he's not even getting in a game. These are controlled practices.
Right.
It's a great story. He's a really good kid, hard worker. It's all good stuff. Mm-hmm. But this is not real football. He needs game experience. You're absolutely right. This would not be advisable for him to be the 2. Right. They've got an issue here. They've got to get him right. And here's the thing, Geoff. Training camp ends next Friday for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. The 3rd week, which is the first week of September, they will be in game plan mode. They start the game plan for week 1, and the following week is week 1. So he's got 2 weeks to get. It's a tough deal, man. With not having May and June on the field, where they could get him rated. This is going to be tough. This is not going to be easy because he was basically promised the number 2 job. The only guy that's out there, Trevor Siemian, your guy was signed. He was signed on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So he's got a job by the Titans. So right now it's really Josh McCown to me. Is their only other choice? Josh is not retired officially. There's no high school football. I'm pretty certain of it in Carolina, with Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying they're doing it, but he's there if they need to do it.
When do you think, and this is just for us to kind of mill on, no sourcing involved because it's kind of a random question, but when do you feel like they'll feel whether or not they need to pick up the phone and make that call? Because there's no preseason games. We are there's only really 10 or 11 days left of training camp if you really look at it.
Yep.
Because then you start the week before the season opener. It's got to be. You would think it's got to be a decision.
I don't know for a fact, but I have to think they talked to either Josh or his agent Mike McCartney. They have to. The only reason is because of COVID this year. God forbid something happens in their quarterback room, they got to know who's available.
Right.
So they have to know if he wants to play again, and he's on line 1. I'm sure if they need him, they'll do it. Look, there were some pretty strong rumors out there that back in after the season that if he wanted to be an assistant coach with him, he could have.
Yeah.
I don't know where that went, but the fact of the matter is they've got to get him right here. It's our job to tell the truth here. Nate has so much. He's gifted, but this ideal. I know he's way better as a talent than I expected, and that I knew about him. But I do know this: talent has nothing to do with pulling the trigger. You got to pull the trigger. I don't know. I'm not him. I've asked this question to so many coaches. They could show it to you, they could tell you, but you have to do it.
Right.
And he just has to do it. So that's where that thing is. And is it something to be concerned about? I would say yes. I would say yes, but I wouldn't overdo it. But you asked a great question. You made a great point. They've got 2 weeks to get it right here. And that third week is game plan. It starts with game planning. So we'll see.
Right. And the thing with, if you were to bring in a guy like McCown, he does not need to be in camp for 2 or 3 weeks. He can probably catch up in 5 or 6. You just don't want it 2 days before the season opener because you want him to be game conditioned. But it's something I think we got to monitor. I remember
one thing. They did have interest in Joe Flacco. That's absolutely 100% true.
I remember
now, the thing with Flacco is he's going to be available in September.
Mm-hmm.
Early to mid-September is the hope, the belief. But that's another thing when you're a team like the Eagles or another team that needs a number 2 quarterback. You kind of got to know.
Right.
So I think there's some reservations there. Then Sudfeld's been in their system now. You're right, 4 years, man. I remember what was either going to be the Colts or the Eagles for Sudfeld. So, and the Redskins, the Washington team. Well, back then they were the Redskins. They wanted him back to their practice squad, and he's like, no, I got a chance to get another job. So we'll see. I wish him luck. I hope Nate could get it right because he's got so much. He's gifted, but you got to pull the trigger, and that's where it's at.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk running back because I remember we were going through the running back position a couple of pods ago, and after they had brought in back Corey Clement, maybe, and we were saying, if they're not going to bring in another veteran, which it became clear that they weren't doing yet, that if Miles Sanders were to get hurt, we started to go through all the backups, right, and say, well, who would be the most natural to be able to be like the primary ball carrier? And we said, well, Boston Scott, he had those 2 games against the Giants, but it's not really built for that kind of a job. And then there was Elijah Holyfield, who no experience. Then the kids that they drafted. And I think I remember saying to you, you know what, as crazy as it sounds, the guy would probably be Corey Clement just based on what he's done and his experience. And then if he's healthy, he can handle that. And lo and behold, Miles is out of practice now. Corey Clement is getting the run with the team. And by all accounts, I've heard from 3 different sources that he looks good. People are really impressed with his attitude, his demeanor, his physical condition. So knock on wood, the guy stays healthy, but he's all of a sudden he's kind of an important player for this team.
Yeah. So, last year he came in, he lost a lot of weight, but he just didn't look right because you said he looked good here.
Right.
He didn't look right last season. It was before his latest injury, which is he had pretty significant shoulder injury and surgery. He had knee surgery before that the previous year. He's coming in with urgency. Everything sounds good. Now, Scott did not work on Wednesday, but he's day to day. My question to you would be, is there enough time for him to seriously push Scott for that number 2 job?
Well, I think it's not about time, Adam. I think it's just about who he is and health. I think he's on the team as long as he's healthy, because they really just don't have a plethora
It's a third back, but can he push Scott?
So I think he can. I think, if let's say Miles Sanders, who we all expect is going to be fine and ready for the season, gets hurt week 1. Now it's week 2. Are you going to give the ball to – and the way they talk about Boston Scott, right, as that jet motion, kind of get him in space, herky-jerky running back. They don't really talk about him as a guy who can do that and carry the ball 15 times. Corey Clement can carry the ball multiple times. I mean, listen, if Miles Sanders got hurt, I do think it becomes, again, back to the committee where you're not going to see Corey Clement get the ball 18 times. But I do think he would be kind of your first down ball carrier, unless Boston Scott, who is now also going to be missing time, just surprises them. I just think they have a role for Boston Scott in mind, and it's gadgety, and not that it's not important, but they're going to do a lot of new concepts and schemes with Scangarello and motion and misdirection and getting guys in space. I feel like that's the role that they envision for him. But when it's time to just line it up and run the ball and you need a few yards, I feel like that would be Corey Clement.
Corey Clement, I agree. I mean, you said it. I can't add much. That's exactly the way I see it. Clement is a tough inside grinder who's got great vision. He's got tremendous versatility. He's a great guy. We did for those who don't know it, our first ever event with a player was with Corey, correct?
It was, I believe so.
2 years ago? Yeah. It was actually after the Super Bowl. It was like, what is it? April or May or June of 18?
Yeah.
Like
no,
that.
You know what? I'm sorry, Adam. It wasn't. It was actually 18 months. It was before last year because he was coming off the knee. Remember, he was coming off the knee injury.
Right. No. But what I'm saying is, it was
because he hurt the knee in 2018. So it was before the 2019. It was April of 2019.
Oh,
but either way,
it was last year. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, he was phenomenal, and he's a humble guy. Obviously, he grew up in the area. No one knew he would be the factor that he was in 17. He is healthy now. This is it for him. He's on a 1-year veteran deal. He could have went elsewhere to take the same deal, but he chose to come back. He wanted to be back. He's got a great – I'll say this. I'll give him credit. It's a smart move because he's got a wonderful opportunity here to still have a pretty significant role. We know how good he is on special teams. And he's got to stay on the field. He's got to produce, or he won't be back next year. Simple as that.
Yeah, I know the fans are frustrated because he's been hurt the last few years, and he never really looked like the rookie year for him. But I would think that people are rooting for this kid to stay healthy.
Everyone is. Yeah.
Because he's a Super Bowl hero for this team. I know there's frustration, but a good guy.
His dad would call him sports talk shows. Local guy, yeah, it's funny. Anyway.
So let's talk wide receiver. A lot of what we kind of forecasted. Deshaun is back and looking good, and I've heard Rager has been moving around.
Hey, good.
Yeah.
He's a freak. He's a freak show. Deshaun, they ought to put him in bubble wrap. I mean, he ought to take 2 reps a day. I would not practice him. He's just. I don't know what to say to him.
You want to McNabb him or give him 1 rep?
I'm serious. Hang on, I got to return a sec. Sorry.
No problem. That's what we do. No, I mean, look, he looks good. I agree with you. I think he's already had a maintenance day. I'm sure when they go into pads.
Right, he did. Right.
Well, I'm sure when they have those.
I wouldn't put him out there. You have to play. Yeah, you can't put him on ice for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, but very limited reps. Get him to week 1. I mean, I've covered this business 21 years, Geoff. I've never seen anything like this guy. If he could just stay on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, 250, he was okay. Opening day last year was 32 years old. We know the injury history is significant. It's not breaking news. But to do what he can do at 32 years old, now he's 33, 34 in December. Just get him there, okay? And we'll see on Alshon. We'll have more information on Alshon, but still pretty optimistic about sometime in September. We'll see. Okay. And then let's get to Greg Ward.
Yeah.
Greg Ward is a guy that has been another great story for them. And for the life of me, I've never gotten a straight answer why they kept cutting him last year. No one seems to. No one will fess up to it, but they were forced to play him. And as I said last week, I got kind of hazed on Twitter. I still don't know if they would have made the playoffs without him, because they were literally throwing at guys who've never caught a pass in the NFL before. Come on, man. This guy was a pretty damn good story. He's a great kid, and he gets the thing that guys tell me. He just gets open, and there's something to be said about Geoff, as you know, in the National Football League, if you can get open.
Yeah. Oh, hey, listen, Deshaun's the best at it. So at least as far as separating down
Ward.
the field. Greg Ward showed you last year that he can get open, and more so than that, Adam, he can catch the ball. Everybody had trouble catching the ball, and he was very sure-handed and dependable. So that was good. Did you see Rager moving around the slot a little bit recently, as we've been saying they're going to do?
Yeah. So here's the book. Here's the book on Rager so far. So from an explosive standpoint, he's everything they thought he would be. Thank God for them. Because when a team watches tape on a first-round pick, it doesn't always happen like that. Like sometimes they're not what they thought. Like Danny Watkins was nothing like they thought. Right. When they got him, unfortunately. But Rager is everything in terms of explosiveness, and he's in great physical shape at 197, 195. As one person said with the Eagles, I thought this was a great line. We've never had anyone kind of like him. Typically, Geoff, a guy at 5'10 and a half, 5, whatever he is, 5'10 and 5'8". Usually one of two things: fast but not strong, strong but not fast. He's both.
Right.
So this is really good. So
that's interesting. I wonder how they would compare him to Jeremy Maclin, who I thought was
Jeremy.
built.
Okay, Jeremy was a little bit taller, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches. He was fast, but Rager's faster. But Jeremy was a more accomplished route runner, no question about it.
Right.
Jalen is getting better with it. The thing that I learned from talking to some coaches with other teams when it comes to the receiver position, you got to slow your roll a little bit in one way. They're going to see coverages they've never seen before, okay? They're playing in spread offenses where corners are mostly off. They're going to do these, assuming he's a starting X week 1 or whatever. He's playing, whether he starts or not is not a big deal, because who starts is only the first play of the game. He's going to play a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
But the key for his maturation process is to start to learn, okay, when they start doing some things he hasn't seen before, he's got to handle it, because that's what's going to happen, folks. This is the way it was explained to me with some coaches I really trust around the NFL. He's going to see all these rookie receivers who are doing well. There are a lot of them around the National Football League. They're going to see some stuff they've never seen before. And it's because they didn't have May and June. They missed 25 plus practices because of COVID. They're not getting that practical experience. They're getting it now in 3 weeks instead of 2.5 months.
Right. There was one day, Adam, in the past few days that wasn't so great for the offense, and that's the feedback I got was, Jason Kelce was having a maintenance day, and Sayamalu moved to center, and then I think they had Herbig at right guard because Jason Peters was out. And so Pryor had to play left guard to make up for Sayamalu, who had moved to center. So as you can imagine, there was some pressure that day.
You think? Yeah. That's Keystone Cops right there. It's
right. I thought it was interesting that they put Sayamalu at center.
Yeah, well, that look, you know as well as I do that he was drafted in 2016 to be Kelsey's long-term replacement. Right. And I'm glad you mentioned Sayamalu, because I want to talk about him. Despite that day, he's been tremendous. This guy, the media here in Philly has been slow to understand how good this kid is. Our first ever show, it's our first scoop, that Sayamalu had the best offseason of any offensive lineman in 2018. He was phenomenal. He's been steady Eddie. He's probably – there's a list of personnel people always say won't be a Pro Bowler. He's probably on that list below. Just a solid, dependable 10 to 12 year starting guard. That's what he is. It sure as hell didn't look like that in 2016 and 17. Quite frankly,
I thought last year he had a couple of games where, and then again, sometimes you don't know if it's his fault.
Right. Yeah. 2 games were not good. I know. Right. One of them was the Minnesota game.
Yeah.
Maybe Dallas too.
I think it was
Atlanta. The Atlanta game was not good. I know for a fact.
That's right.
He didn't grade out well at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, the guy's a solid bleeping football player. I think our media here in Philly, they need to get wise to this kid. Just talk to anyone in their front office or the coaches. The kid's really good. He's not a Pro Bowler, because he's the guys who are Pro Bowlers are like Lane Johnson, who have 5 bad snaps a season, not 1 or 2 bad games. And that's really the difference.
And how about Mailata? I mean, they finally got him out there. He's at right tackle. I keep hearing good things about Jack Driscoll. I don't know if you saw Brandon Graham actually singled him out and said
what did he say?
He said, I've enjoyed going up against
oh wow. Okay.
Well, wait. He goes, I've really enjoyed my battles with Jake Driscoll.
Jake. Hey.
So he's impressed so much he couldn't get his name right, but no, still he kept saying 63 and Jack Driscoll.
Jake John, it's pretty much the same.
So I had said last podcast that I knew the coaches were very, and just Stoutland was impressed, and now you're getting double verification from Brandon, who didn't have to say he singled out Jack Driscoll, but also Mailata is now back and he's starting
actually.
His development.
Yeah, I'll add to what you just said. He's gotten snaps at left and right tackle.
Right.
My sense is now things could change obviously over the next 2 weeks, particularly if these guys don't do well. But the top backup guard will be Matt Pryor. The top backup tackle, drumroll please, is going to be Mailata. That's just my sense of what I've heard. Mm-hmm. And for him, that his back holds up, but he's been good, and they've cross-trained him at both. And he's not a guard, for Christ's sake. He's not a guard. I just hope they don't I know they love cross-training. Don't do it. I know. I hope they don't do it because he's a tackle. He's
definitely. I mean, I wouldn't mind it maybe next year if he goes one full year of being healthy just to see. I know. But you're right. He needs all the reps at tackle that he can get. Any updates on Goedert and Ertz? Obviously, Goedert's hurt a little bit here.
Goedert has he's a minor injuries day to day, but this is okay. Last year, obviously, was their first year where they were both being factors together. They've been the word from two people is they've been phenomenal. Like they've taken their next step together in terms of on the field, obviously. So they're going to unleash this thing. I told you last summer, it wasn't a secret. Other reporters knew some of this. That Goedert was the second coming of the next great Eagles tight end. Ertz is Brent Selleck obviously was very good. Ertz is going to be their best tight end in the history of the team, but Goedert is that next guy. And they saw in the first 3 or 4 days of practice, particularly the first couple of days of pads, okay, this is what we were hoping. But what we didn't know last summer is, Geoff, second day of training camp, Goedert suffered a significant calf strain.
Right.
And that curtailed his first half. He just never got it right. The Atlanta game, he had the setback. And you got to be careful with these calf strains, man. It's unfortunate because that really hurt their offense. Because when all those pass targets got hurt, particularly at receiver, they really could have used Goedert. But right now, knock on wood, for their sake, he's doing well. Well, he is doing well, but he gets back soon, and they're gonna do something pretty special this year if they both stay healthy. That's pretty much all I got on offense. We've covered covered Hurts finally. People getting on our case that we didn't cover Hurts, so we know we have.
Yeah, I look forward to kind of doing the. I've been saying this for the last 2 pods, but we get more information as the time goes on, and it becomes more intriguing to kind of talk about new and different guys. So I look forward to kind of the reports that we get, especially on the quarterbacks, when we do this again next time for Monday morning. So we're going to get to the defense. First, I want to remind everybody that you got to check out phlsportsnation.com, enhancing the fan experience with their coverage of all 4 Philly sports teams like nobody else. You can find them on Twitter at PHL Sports Nation, or you can go to their website, phlsportsnation.com. Get your Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and Phillies coverage, and some great podcasts too. So make sure you're checking out our good friends and affiliates at phlsportsnation.com. And we will pause real quick for another word from our great sponsors. All right, let's talk about the defense, Adam. Not just as individuals, but conceptually. Because Jim Schwartz has done a couple of Zooms, and anything that you've heard or learned about the scheme, anything changing? Yeah. What do you have on that?
All right, so Geoff and I did a show. If you're new to our show, it was okay. The date is so if you want to listen to it, it's the May 28th show. Because I wanted to listen to it. I listened to it a couple days ago. Because I want to remember what we said. We thought through our sourcing that there's going to be some scheme adjustments. They're not going to change the wide 9. That's not what I mean. What they're finally going to do this, Geoff, because we crushed the Schwartz last year in a couple things. It's all based on sourcing, so it can't really be challenged. I got it from other teams who would advance scouts and people who are watching Eagles tape. They said the Eagles defense was so vanilla last year. Part of it is because the secondary is atrocious. Next to no pre-snap and post-snap disguise, which is not good in today's NFL. It's all about that. Right. And Schwartz was handcuffed by what he was given. I think that being fair, you only could coach the guys you're given. And when Roseman really summed up very well when he had his press. It might have been at the combine actually it wouldn't have been because he had the Slay trade happened after that. Whenever he talked about the Slay trade, how he said, I laughed when he said it. I was surprised he said it. Because he was sick and tired of seeing the ball go over the DB's head.
Yeah, I think he speaks for a lot of people.
Right, and that's it. I mean, again, I it's not something I thought he would say, but he's right. I mean, he's obviously right. So to sum it up, they're going to do it based on what I've heard about practices. People have been there. What I've been told, and I'm going to look for it when I go. I just want to see what they're doing. Not that I know what the hell I'm looking at, quite frankly, but I just want to see. I'm going to watch the line, the secondary. I'm no expert, but I do know this. You're going to see some stuff you've never seen with Jim Schwartz. Now I'm going to tell you why.
That'd be nice.
The secondary, this is what we said in May, and now I know it's going to happen. Look, first of all, Avonte Maddox is starting. That's over.
Yes.
You could put it in pencil, not pen yet, because you never know. If Maddox has 2 bad weeks of practice, then the things change, but Maddox is your starter opposite Slay. They don't need to name it. I'm naming it for them. Maddox is starting. It's just what I think and what I know. They could deny it, but we know it's obvious. Come on.
He's taken every first team rep so far in practice.
That I was surprised with. I will have to tell you, but that's actually not why I'm saying it. I just kind of know. So he's a great look. Everyone knows it's not a secret. We told you this 2 years ago. Schwartz loves Maddox. Not that he doesn't love his players, but particularly this kid. Everything they've asked him to do, he's done it.
Right.
He's a smart kid, he's a tremendous athlete, great kid, high character. But here's the problem. If he gets hurt, Geoff, let's talk about Sidney Jones for a second because we haven't talked about him very much.
Okay.
The word on the street, the word from people we talk to, people we know, he's been inconsistent. Now he's healthy. Here's the best part about him: he's healthy. There are no injuries. Okay. He's got the length he wants. He's a good kid, but the thing that he struggles with is understanding what teams are trying to do and taking the right step and the footwork. You see flashes of good stuff, and then the other stuff is he's just inconsistent. I know you throw out 2017 because he was come back from the torn Achilles.
Yeah,
this is his 3rd year to me, and by the way, he'll be restricted next year after the season.
Right.
Because he was on NFI's first year for a certain amount of games. I don't know what you can expect from this guy as your top backup outside corner, Geoff. I don't know what he is.
I don't either. I think depth is. I think everyone's going to be kind of biting their fingernails as far as health and whether it's on field, COVID, anything with this secondary because they finally, to me, Adam, have the cornerback tandem that they were looking for. They have a real stud in Darius Slay, who I'm told has been nice this camp, and then Avonte Maddox is phenomenal, good, and Avonte Maddox has played well. He's consistent, and maybe it'll enable Schwartz to do a few more things than he wouldn't able to do.
He's going to do more than a few. We're going to get to that. I'm going to give you a couple of little nuggets.
But if any of these guys went down, and you're talking about Sidney and Rasul, I don't know. So,
and by the way, what Geoff said. What Geoff just said is exactly what would happen. What Geoff just said would be last year. If they got injuries at corner, it's over. They're going to be vanilla. Jim's going to have to. What Jim? Someone way smarter than me said to me. Jim had to protect his secondary because he just didn't have enough talent.
Right.
And that's why Roseman traded for Slay. Slay has been everything they thought he'd be and more. Totally professional, good mentor to the younger players, hard-ass worker. Now, we'll see what happens when they start. Schwartz is not lying. When he said they're going to play, I give him credit. In that media briefing he had within the last week or so, when he said he didn't deny they're going to play a lot of man, they're playing a lot of man. This is the way they've done it at practice, is what I heard.
Sure.
They're going to play man travel for the first time in Schwartz here. They're going to do it. They're going to – I'll tell you who's going to be a major factor. This Will Parks looks like – we'll see what happens when the season starts because you can only go by, practice. They're going to play big nickel. They're going to see big nickel with 3 safeties. There'll be some of the Malcolm Jenkins role for one of these guys or 2 of these guys, but it's not going to be as much Malcolm in the box. They're not going to do – Malcolm is a special guy. What he did, you just don't see very much of. Right. But Parks has been way better than expected because, I know he had other opportunities, but he's been really good. Mills has taken to his new position very well. Nicole Roby-Coleman's been really good as their slot corner, their nickel corner.
Yeah, I've gotten good feedback at him from this safety group, more so than I expected to. You mentioned Will Parks. I've heard that Jalen Mills is doing very well in his transition, and he's a guy that has been playing deep safety. He has been playing in the box. They've been moving him around, and he's been acclimating into it really well. I thought, I've been saying for a while, I thought the starters were going to be Rodney McLeod as kind of your deep safety and Will Parks as your move, in the box and move around. And, it sounds like Jalen Mills is pushing to get as much playing time as he can get because he's looked good this game. And I've even heard, real quick, Epps. Marcus Epps is actually playing pretty well.
Sleeper alert. We need a sounder. Sleeper alert. Marcus Epps.
Everybody remembers Marcus Epps from, I believe, getting burned by DK Metcalf on that long pass in the playoff game against Seattle.
Was he there? Was he on the field then? Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was the kind of the clincher connection.
He's no Blaine Bishop. Sorry, Blaine. I know Blaine, but that's an old school reference to the last game of the vet. But anyway.
Right. But no, that's good because this is not a position we said was deep in real proven talent. You had Mills making an adjustment. You had Will Parks, who's never been with the team. And after that, there were, other than McLeod, there was really nobody who'd proven anything. So,
and by the way, look, the media, they're doing all this on the field. The media could see it. I mean, they're been no restriction. They're my God, they're detailing everything they're saying. So it's nothing that we're saying that's not happening. It's happening.
Right.
Mills, I think, will be technically the starter, but they're going to have – and I don't – I'm not trying to protect Jim Schwartz. I crushed him last year for some of the stuff because it was factual.
Yeah.
But I did learn that it was more because of the talent he was given, needed to be better in the back end, and Roseman addressed it. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to see how Marquand Manuel, the former Seahawks DB, who's been a D coordinator before, and Tim Houck, and obviously Schwartz, how they design this back end. Everything I'm hearing and what I understand has been good, but – this isn't a game yet. We're going to see. They're going to be tested by Terry McLaurin week 1 and a new offense with Scott Turner. We'll see what happens there. But for folks who love defense in this town, Geoff, you know about Buddy Ryan was a godsend here for the fans.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
We never won a playoff game. Yes.
Right.
People love defense in this town. I don't know why, but they do. I think you're going to like some of the things I'm hearing. But, again, I'm not a coach. I don't know how they're going to implement it. I just know that what they're doing is pretty cool. We'll see. We were right about that in terms of what our May show, May 28th. Go listen to it. They planning on doing it. I'm not saying they're doing it because what teams do in training camp that the media could see is not always what they do. But I think we were right when we said they're going to start changing some stuff up this year. But we'll see.
Yeah. Linebacker, I don't know if this is a good thing or not such a good thing about the overall state, but when you hear Sean Bradley is off to a really nice start, and TJ Edwards has come back even more, physical and better running than he was last year and will compete to try to be in the nickel. That's good for those two guys. I don't know what that says about the overall state of linebackers that a rookie free agent and a 7th-round pick are impressing the coaches the most right now, but that's what it is.
Well, it's a good thing, though, that Bradley is doing well. That's a good thing because he's a draft pick. I know he's a 6th-rounder. I know there are a lot of reports or just reporters going to practice and saying he's doing well. It's actually true, but I would caution. Sean Bradley has certain limitations. Okay, there's a reason why he went in the 6th round. The word around the league will be a great special teams player. Will be great for your locker room. You don't want him starting. You want him at best as a 10 to 15 plays on defense kind of guy, but you want him as a leader on special teams. Your typical 6th-round pick. Mm-hmm. Now, I know he's good. I mean, I know he's looked good, Geoff, but as you just said, if you put it in proper context, let's call it like it is. Eagles have the worst linebacker core in the league. It's not a shot at any of these guys individually. I'm just telling you the way the league looks at it. Mm-hmm. That's what they have. Now, could they be better than that this season? Let's get to TJ Edwards. I know, he's the guy you talked about on the last show. I could tell you the word is now, this is kind of comical because I know how this went the last time I said this. He's been the best linebacker in training camp, and it's not even close.
Right.
Well, the last time I said that about a guy, the guy went up getting cut, ... went going to Baltimore, and he wound up getting an extension. So who the hell knows?
Right.
But your guy T.J. Edwards is off to a very good start.
Yeah, he's off to a good start. Defensive line, I don't have much. I think we got to really wait for the real padded and the real scrimmages to show up before we can talk a lot. But I know, you've got something on Josh Sweat. And obviously, I think it's just obviously in general with Barnett not practicing, it just shows you how important it was for them to bring Vinny Curry back, because you just need that starting proven veteran there.
Yes, this is my point about it. And I know when you and I were talking, and I didn't disagree with you, you're right. And I know a lot of people on our message board said the same thing. They got to turn the page and go get younger. However, in this situation, which we've never had in our lifetimes, particularly the National Football League, you can't just say that the young players are going to be ready. If you want to win a Super Bowl, and trust me, when you look at this roster, they're better than 2017 in some respects in certain positions. Particularly, they're certain positions, they're actually better. Mm-hmm. They're not obviously as good at linebacker, but they didn't have a number one corner in 2017. True. They have one now. Josh Sweat, let's get to him. Now, Curry, by the way, has looked great. He obviously kept himself a good shot. He's a true professional. Right. Josh Sweat is getting better, but the problem is, Geoff, with that leg, that had the severe nerve damage in high school. I think he could only get to a certain point in his career, and I don't know that he could ever get past that because of the limited. You can't practice him a ton. You get concerned if they didn't resign Vinny or bring in any other veteran, Geoff, if one of the stars got hurt. That's what I said in the offseason. I don't know that Josh Sweat could play 40, 50 snaps a game. I don't think long term it's going to work.
No, I agree with you on that. I think they did the smart thing, and I'm kind of interested in seeing how the D-line kind of what we hear when they put the pad. Well, no, they have the pads on, but when they start tackling those two scrimmages that Doug Peterson said they're going to have. So that's pretty good. That was good stuff. We went through the offense, went through the defense there, talked about the injuries. I think that was pretty informative for everybody involved.
Sweat looks great, though. Don't get me wrong. Sweat looks great.
That's good.
And
that's good.
Okay, and I'm just going to say one thing because people are going to go off the rails when I say this in a good way. But
no, never.
Sweat has just a ton. I mean, not a ton, a smidge of clowning in him. He's long. I know. But
you really wanted to wake everybody up at the end of this show, didn't you?
I know. No, but just hear me out. He's long. He's got a very similar build to Clowney.
Yeah.
He's explosive for a guy who's as big as he is.
Yep.
We know what the limitations because of the leg, but he's got some moves, man. He's got an arm over move. Mm-hmm. He's got some moves, man, and he's looking. He's an interesting guy, man. He's you're talking about a first round talent, but because of his injury history, look, there's some teams that wouldn't draft him. I know for a fact because they told me.
Right.
So, but this team, look. The word around the league was before we get out of here, he's a one contract guy. He's in the third year of his four-year deal. We'll see if he can make it.
All right. They both also have the letter E in their last names as we continue the comparisons between Josh Sweat and Jadeveon Clowney. That's going to do it.
Man, you're really stretching.
Well, that was my point about comparing one.
No, but he's got
no, I know
the
what
frame.
You mean.
He's got the frame, that's all.
Definitely. That's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in the Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his work on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads. Check out his podcast that he does with former basketball star, Villanova star Darrell Reynolds. It's called Processed. And check out Hunter's work on Twitter. @Broads81 is where you can find him. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.